Hello everyone! Welcome back! In today's video, I'll be discussing a topic I haven't really touched on before. Well, I've made videos about Jewish culture and travel vlogs, but what is it like traveling as an Orthodox Jew? For those of you who aren't familiar with that term, let me clarify. There are branches of Judaism, and each one practices the religion to a different extent. This ranges from keeping all the commandments with every precautionary rule to just lighting the menorah on Hanukkah while living a secular life, and everything in between. I practice Orthodox Judaism, which is mostly defined as keeping the Sabbath, keeping kosher, and family purity. I love my religion and traveling, but is it so easy to keep my faith while on the road? Is there a good side to having a conservative lifestyle while traveling? Today, I'll be sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to traveling as an Orthodox Jew. And if you're religious too and love traveling, stay tuned until the end of this video because I'll be sharing some tips and tricks I've picked up during my adventures. First, I'll be starting with the advantages keeping my faith has given me while traveling around Europe. There's definitely a sweet side to this despite the challenges. The first one applies to solo travelers the most. I've done solo traveling, and it's great. You get to be your own boss, choose all your own activities, and schedule everything when you'd like. But for many people, it can get lonely. For someone of any religion, the feeling that God is there beside you can give you a stronger sense of security. Like you're not alone. God is there to protect you, and God is there to guide you. This trust in itself makes everything less overwhelming.
Ik ben omgekomen door wie men neemt de chef Arabediam zu Estonia en zij zeggen me als ik ben niet in de plaats gestanden de falsche Platz afgemeldet en als es ist, wie ich dachte gegangen ist der andere Eck von der Stadt und ich kann es nicht machen und so. So ich habe gedacht kaufen noch aber so ich habe es gekauft weil ich gar kein Breit bekommen gehen und so ganz in der Teufel alles ist vergeht nur Gott weiß was viele Sachen passieren solche Sachen aber etwas als Sibbe hat Gott gewollt dass ich nicht sein dort nach 2 Stunden.
I found that attending synagogue services is such a wonderful way of meeting people that have something in common with you. It forces me to leave my comfortable bubble and strike up conversation with people from the local Jewish community where I'm traveling, and this has made the biggest positive influence on my travels. I travel to Northern Europe a lot, and it's known that it's difficult making friends in that region. They tend to be quite reserved, shy, and cautious up there. Commonly, people will make their lifelong friends in kindergarten or grade school, and newcomers are often looked down on. So, how did I make friends in the Nordic countries? By being Jewish. There's a Sabbath custom that takes place after the morning prayers, where we gather together, drink some alcohol or grape juice, eat some refreshments, and chat. This is called Kiddush. And according to my experiences, Kiddush is a great way of breaking the impossible outer shell of the Nordic people. So to anyone who's advised making Nordic friends through a sports club, volunteer work, or a music class, has never attended a synagogue Kiddush. Number 4 is hospitality. While in a foreign country, it's easy to feel lost. You don't know the language, don't know the streets, and don't recognize a face in sight. But as a Jew, you'll always have a home. Chabad centers, synagogues, and other Jewish organizations are extremely hospitable to their fellow Jew. In many countries, they don't get a lot of visitors at their Chabad, and their eagerness to show me around was infectious. I couldn't thank them for their hospitality enough. I've truly been treated like a fellow sister of the nation of Israel everywhere I went. And it's been an honor to be on the receiving end of these history and community center tours of these establishments. Now, despite the warm welcomes, friendships, community dinners, and godly connections, traveling as an Orthodox Jew can be hella tricky. As I always say, this isn't just a religion, it's a lifestyle with many rules. While I appreciate these rules and follow them with great willingness, I sometimes wish I could remove my Jewishness for a day or two, just for this flight. Here are the greatest downsides. 1. Keeping kosher on the road. This is the single hardest thing about traveling as a Jew that keeps the rules of kashrut. Here are the main principles of kosher eating. We can only consume meat products that have been slaughtered in a kosher way. These meat products can only be bought at select places and are quite expensive. All dairy, grape, and candy products must be kosher certified. This means cheese cannot have rennet from an animal that hasn't been slaughtered in a kosher way. Wine cannot be consumed if it had been touched by a Gentile. And candy, well, Jews and Muslims alike know the animal products from fish gelatin to beetle-based dye that are used in marshmallows, gum, and other candy. Many animals are off limit for us to consume, such as pigs, shellfish, and many kinds of bird. We cannot eat meat products and dairy products together. Furthermore, we cannot use the same utensils to prepare dairy and meat. We have 2 sets of everything in our kitchen. One is used for dairy and one for meat. All of our food must be prepared using kosher cooking utensils. We cannot eat our kosher food on a plate that was formerly used for pork. Then our food wouldn't be kosher anymore. Given this, many challenges arise while being away from home. Near home, I have easy access to all kosher foods, and I have a fully kosher kitchen with dairy and meat utensils. The first flight is easy. I pack sandwiches and snacks and wait for the metal detector to go off at the airport from all the silver foil. Once I arrive at my Airbnb, I always kosher or make kosher a couple of the utensils that are provided. In order to do this, I have to boil some water and place the utensils in. I then place half of the utensils in one part of the kitchen for dairy and half in another part for meat. Chances are I'm going to be cooking a lot, as kosher restaurants are not readily available. Shopping is always an interesting feat. Bread, fruits, vegetables, eggs, beans, butter, and fresh fish don't need a kosher certification. I usually stock up on those items almost immediately. The next thing I can do is look if there's a kosher list. Many countries provide a list of kosher products you can find in the supermarket that haven't been stamped with a kosher certification because of the small population, but they have been checked by a rabbi. Usually this would include some cooking sauces, canned goods, and some soft cheese if you're lucky. Lastly, there's the kosher store. Some countries have it and some don't. In several countries, it's a room in the basement of the Chabad where you can buy meat, hard cheese, and best of all, Israeli snacks and canned goods. Seriously, I'm not kidding, those are the best in the world. Anyway, back to keeping kosher. It's always a good idea to carry a couple of kosher snacks with you on hand when you're out for the day. You can't just buy food anywhere, and you never know where the next place you can shop will be. If you're staying at a hotel, it can be more tricky. If there's a kosher restaurant in the city, that's the best way of having a hot meal for dinner. Otherwise, canned beans on toast will have to suffice. Bottom line is, you can't just buy yourself meals out when at the airport or in the city. Buying food means spending forever reading ingredients, and keeping a kosher kitchen takes a lot of effort. A lot of time is taken out of tourism time when keeping the Sabbath. From sundown on Friday evening until when there are 3 stars in the sky on Saturday is the Sabbath. Since I cannot use electric devices, drive, make purchases, carry items, or many other things, I can't tour on Saturdays. In fact, even on Friday, I can't sightsee for much of the day. The last 2 hours or so before sunset is usually reserved for Shabbat preparations. In the winter, that's quite early. I can't fly on the Sabbath either, so flights need to be booked accordingly. Speaking of the Sabbath, keeping all these rules while traveling can be hard and, quite frankly, boring. Is the place you're staying at accommodating? Is there a non-electronic key? A way of covering the lights to sleep so you don't touch the switch before Shabbat is over? A proper stairwell because you can't use the elevator? Having some decent entertainment is also key due to all the restrictions. A good book, some playing cards, and some good walking shoes because a walk to the shoreline is all you can think of to entertain yourself. And don't forget a chain to hang that key around your neck to avoid carrying. Now it's Monday. You've packed your kosher lunch? What can you do while out touring in the city? Most things are considered okay according to the Torah. Museums are fun. Hiking is such an amazing way to connect with God's nature. Some people enjoy extreme sports, landmarks, a trip to the beach, or to an old church. Yeah, the last one isn't allowed. Jews are forbidden from entering churches. This is because we are monotheistic, and since in the Christian faith, Jesus is considered to be the Son of God, and he is prayed to, we consider Christianity to be a polytheistic religion. By entering a church with statues of Jesus, we would be breaking one of the main pillars of our faith. Thou shalt not worship other gods. It was quite disappointing to learn that I'll never be able to visit the Notre Dame, the Cathedral of Trondheim, or an old stave church in Norway and Iceland. But luckily, I can always find something else to do. And I can always admire the outer architecture of the churches. Lastly, I want to discuss one that is especially true in these times, and that is anti-Semitism. While traveling alone, I have a fear of being mistreated because of my faith. Am I putting myself at risk for this by hanging around synagogues, wearing a Star of David necklace, saying my prayers while out in nature? I haven't experienced any anti-Semitism so far, and I feel grateful for that, but I always try to be alert in case it does come up. The last section of this video will be tips and tricks I've picked up while trying to keep by the Torah's laws without traveling. These have helped the whole kosher Sabbath thing be a lot easier in my case, and maybe they can help someone else too. So if the situation applies to you, listen up. Number 1, pack kosher snacks from your home country. When is your next kosher meal going to be available? Are there kosher foods around for purchase? If it's unclear and you're starving from being on your feet all day, there's nothing better than being able to pull out that snack from your bag. Make sure to have a couple of pieces with you, just in case. 2, book your stay near a Chabad. Whatever city you're staying in, if it's a main city, chances are there's a Chabad. They'll likely have a minyan, some form of kosher food, a Shabbat meal which you can sign up to, and plenty more. It'll likely make Shabbat a lot easier, and you'll get to meet the locals through this organization as well. And of course, I mean stay within walking distance because you won't be able to use the transportation of the city on Shabbat. Number 3 is a booking tip. Don't book any flights between Thursday night and Sunday night. Delays and cancellations happen, and you never know when you'll end up getting stranded in Iceland over Shabbat. Well, that was fun. Number 4, carry an ice pack with you. Circling back to not just being able to drop in and buy food anywhere, ice packs will be your knight in shining frostiness. They'll keep those tinfoil sandwiches fresh in your bag all day. And number 5, keep plastic bags on you. According to kosher law, one can double wrap their food to heat it up in a non-kosher microwave. So if a microwave becomes available to you, you'll be glad you have something to wrap your food in. There you have it! These were the advantages and disadvantages to traveling as an Orthodox Jew based on my experience. Fellow Jews, do you have the same challenges as I do? What tips and tricks would you give to someone to make traveling as a Jew a little easier? And to everyone else, did anything surprise you? And does your religion affect your travel as well? I'd love to hear from you all in the comments. Tack för idag, litraot, tschüss and auf Wiedersehen!